Sonos has finally made a pair of headphones, and I want to review them slightly differently. So the Sonos Ace are apparently Sonos's most requested product, and hands up, before the rumours started a few months ago, I hadn't thought about a pair of Sonos headphones ever. This is a little bit embarrassing. I just thought of them as the speaker people. I never thought we need a pair of Sonos headphones. And then I heard the rumours, and then I thought, well, obviously. And I was lucky enough to go to London a few weeks ago to try these out behind the scenes. And do I give the game away now, or do I build up to it in classic YouTuber style? I'm going to build up to it. Now, as you might expect, being a Sonos product, these aren't cheap, and they offer integration with the existing Sonos ecosystem, but not in the way that you might be expecting. And they do have some very stiff competition. Now, I think there's two ways to review the Sonos Ace headphones. The first way is to look at them from the perspective of a Sonos user, and the second way is just to look at them and say, are they a decent pair of headphones, and crucially, are they worth the price? For me, it's the latter that I'm most interested in, and having done some audience research with you guys, I think it's the same for you as well. That said, I will go into the ecosystem stuff a bit later, but first, very quickly before I get into that, a quick word not from a sponsor, because this video isn't sponsored, but from a partner that helps me keep the lights on here and which I use every single day, which is Brain FM. And Brain FM is basically this app that pipes music into your ears that can make you more productive. It works for me. I can't do any kind of writing, scripting, or deep work without Brain FM. It's very hard to explain unless you try it out, but, well, I've worked with Brain FM to get a fantastic deal, so I think it's worth a go. Just click that link in the description to try it out, and now let's get into the Sonos Ace. Okay, let's get into the highlights of the Sonos Ace. So they have 40mm custom dynamic drivers. They've got 8 mics for noise cancellation and voice targeting. They've got spatial audio, Dolby Atmos and lossless audio support, and they're compatible with aptX and Snapdragon sound. They also have dynamic head tracking with TV audio swap, which I'll explain later, Bluetooth 5.4. The battery provides 30 hours of playback maximum. That's with noise cancelling turned on. They cost £449 in the UK, and that leaves me with many questions. Let's start with the design of the Sonos Ace, and I've had a lot of people tell me that they look like the AirPods Max, so let's do a quick comparison, shall we? AirPods Max, Sonos Ace. Now that I've put them side by side, these don't do that for starters, but now that I've put them side by side, they're similar, but the biggest thing, guys, is that these are so much lighter, and you can feel that lightness on your head. I can't hear anything now. Hang on, that's better. I'll come on to the noise cancellation in a moment. Sonos has done a lot of testing, a lot of market research on this, and they've discovered that the key bone of contention, for want of a better phrase, is up here for most people. So that is where most headphones, after a while, tend to hurt. So they've put 2 layers of foam into this top headband, and bearing in mind that I'm follically challenged, I can confirm that it is incredibly comfortable, as are the ear cups. There's loads of padding around here. I've worn these for long stretches of time and I've had no issues whatsoever. When it comes to the design overall, I think they're lovely, and it would be weird if they weren't lovely, because Sonos stuff is so well made in my experience and in my personal opinion. And there are some plastics, obviously. They're of high quality. The metal used is very nice. I like the fact they have an anti-fingerprint coating on here, which works very well on the white version. I can't speak for the black edition because I used them briefly in the hands-on thing in London, but not for long enough to kind of work out if they can really repel those fingerprints, but they do on the white version, and personally I prefer this one. They've also hidden the yoke, which I didn't know that's what it was called. It's the thing basically that enables the cup to move around like that. They've hidden that mechanism inside the cup, which firstly makes the design nice and clean, obviously, but also apparently, I wouldn't know this, but it stops your hair getting caught in, stop laughing at the back, it stops your hair getting caught in the mechanism and that sort of thing. They've also color coded the left and right, and by the way, these do come off. You can replace the The pads, I think they're about £49, which is Sonos money again, but at least you can replace them, that's the main thing. But they're colour-coded, the mesh in here. So that's green, and that is white, and green means right, and white means left. They've done the same thing on here, so that's green and that's white. Apparently it adds to the affordance, so it enables you to pick them up and know immediately that because that's green, that means right, so you put them on the correct way. In reality, it doesn't quite work like that, and it took me a few attempts, a couple of days, to really get my head around which way was the right way to put them on. So it's not a niggle, it's just an interesting design feature. For me, it didn't quite work. Now, if you know me, you know that I am obsessed with headphone cases. I'm very boring about them. So to see that Sonos calls the case for the Sonos Ace inarguably good, they've come to the right guy. And it's very good. I mean, inarguably good is quite a big statement, really. There are some issues. The first one is the fact that it is quite big. It's quite a big headphone case, although now I'm looking at it actually. Hang on, let's do the test. This is the Sony XM5 case, which I cannot stand. The Sony case is quite a bit bigger. So the fabric they've used is nice. I do wonder how that's going to hold up over time in terms of getting scuffs and marks and stuff, but it feels lovely, I must be honest. Oh, there is one slight niggle, which is when you've got it closed, this little thing for the zip gets caught in the zip thing, so it gets caught in that kind of groove in there, which is just a bit annoying to get out sometimes. Another tiny niggle is the fact that Sonos reads the same both ways around, so quite often I'll get this out and think I've got it the right way around and I haven't. These are small gripes. It's a lovely case. Let's not beat around the bush. Inside we have, again, very lovely fabric. It's very tough as well, so bearing in mind you've spent £449 on these, the thing that I hate about headphones that get this wrong is when you get a case that doesn't protect the headphones. You put the AirPods Max in here, they're not protected. It gets that right. They've got this little pouch inside which magnetizes, so it kind of magnetically attaches inside to the case. That's for your cables, so you get your included USB-C to USB-C cable and USB-C to headphone jack cable. They very nicely slot into there. Attach that, done. We don't have touch controls on the Sonos Ace. They are proper buttons, and Sonos has done its homework with this. And we get 3 buttons. So we get the content button here, which is this aluminium little thing which you can press for play and pause, and you can move up and down for volume. We then get a dedicated button for the ANC, so you can turn the noise cancelling off and turn on transparency mode. And we have a power button that doubles as the Bluetooth button. That's how you do headphone controls. It's so simple. I've recently been getting into EQing my headphones, and that's quite a departure for me. If you've been watching this channel for a little while, you'll know that I'm the guy who says, oh, I want to listen to headphones as the manufacturer intended. I don't want to faff around with the EQ settings. That's cheating. Certain headphones do need tweaking. I completely understand that now. The Sonos Ace do not need tweaking. They sound superb straight out of the box, and again, a bit like the design, this is not surprising. I've never felt the need to EQ a Sonos speaker or a soundbar because they sound brilliant. The best way to describe the Sonos Ace is that it's like putting a pair of Sonos speakers on your head or strapped to your ears. That's what they sound like. They've got loads of body, there's loads of bass going on without it being too overpowering. The highs and the mids are there and crisp and present and not annoying. The sound just has so much character. If you've ever bought a Sonos speaker, so a Play 1, an Era 300, an Era 100, you'll know the experience of turning it on for the first time, playing your favourite track through it, and just marvelling at the sound. It's always amazing given the size of the device. You get the exact same experience with the Sonos Ace. And if you're wondering, they do sound miles better than the AirPods Max. Oh, I'll tell you what I can do. I can compare them to the Sony XM5s. I get a lot of stick about these headphones because they've got quite a big fan base. The sound of the XM5s compared to the Sonos Ace, there's no comparison. And yes, these are cheaper, but you can see what you're getting when you spend a bit more money. And the AirPods Max are £100 more expensive than the Sonos Ace. So these do sit very nicely at that price point. But there is one other element between all of these headphones, which is noise cancelling. Let me cut to the chase. The Sonos Ace noise cancelling is among the best I've ever heard. It's just as good as the XM5s, which are still the market leader in that respect, and it beats the AirPods Max. There's no hiss, there's no oppressive feeling. The world just gets very, very quiet, and that's all we need. As for transparency mode, it's better than the Sony XM5s because that's not very good on these. This is when the outside world comes in after you've pressed that button, so it's very handy for being aware of your surroundings and very handy for telephone calls, which I'll come on to in a moment. The transparency mode on these is almost as good as these. And when it comes to telephone calls, they work fantastically, mainly because you can hear yourself very well, but also because I've not had any issues with the other person hearing me or me hearing them or vice versa. They work fantastically. Okay, when it comes to the ecosystem, I thought these would be the same as adding another Era 100 to your Sonos system, so you could then stream the music onto your Era 100, onto your Era 300, and then onto these. Play the same stuff across all of those devices. But you can't do that with the Sonos Ace. They don't appear as another speaker, if that makes sense. Now, whether or not that's a miss, I'm not sure at the minute. I need to get my head around this because I was fully expecting, when I heard the rumours about the Sonos Ace, I thought they would be another device on your network. If I'm listening to something in, let's say in my office, for instance, and want to transfer what I'm listening on my Era 300 to my Sonos Ace headphones for an hour or so, you can't do that. I'd love to know what you think about this, guys. Let me know in the comments if you think that should be a feature or if Sonos has got this right. But they do integrate with the Sonos ecosystem in a very specific way, and to do this you need one of those, which is a Sonos Arc soundbar. Now, at the time of filming, the Sonos Ace only work with the Arc soundbar. They don't work with any other Sonos soundbar. We are told that support for different Sonos soundbars is on the way. We don't know when that's going to happen, but it's going to happen at some stage, but you do need an Arc for this to work. So just bear that in mind if this is a big thing for you. But the way it works is really straightforward. You basically set up the Sonos Ace headphones in your Sonos app, and then you turn on something called TV audio swap. This does some very clever stuff, including something called True Cinema, which basically maps the space around you and renders a complete surround sound system for the headphones. It's very clever. The Arc soundbar basically emits sounds into the room to measure the room and build this virtual model of it for the headphones, which means in theory you should get the best spatial audio ever. That whole process takes about a minute. It's very quick. Once it's done, to get the sound out of the Arc and into these, you just long press that content button. You hear a chime in these, and then suddenly you can hear the audio from your TV in your headphones. It sounds incredible, and they do have the spatial audio head tracking thing where the sound feels like it's coming from in front of you, and if you move your head like that, the sound stays over here. If you've tried it on the AirPods Max or AirPods Pro, it's basically the same thing, but these are better. And the reason they're better is because it just feels wider. The TV feels like it really is emitting that audio signal for you, and you've got Dolby Atmos going on. It's just this massive soundstage. I know I'm gushing about these headphones, apologies, but I've done a lot of headphone reviews recently where they've been very good. They've been very impressive, and they've done well for the price, and you can talk about the sound and the noise cancelling, yada yada yada. These have something else, and that something else is that Sonos thing. It's that out of the box ease with which you can use them, but more importantly than that, it's the out of the box quality. It's there immediately. The problem is that if you don't have an Arc, at the moment, you can't experience that part of these headphones. So let's just hope that Sonos widen that compatibility very soon. I started this review with a big question, which was, are the Sonos Ace worth the money? The answer is yes. Everything about these screams £449, which is a lot of money for a pair of headphones, but if you're buying into Sonos, let's be honest, you're used to spending a lot of money. The TV audio swap feature for these is definitely a differentiator, and for you, if you've got the Arc soundbar, trust me, you'll love it. It is worth mentioning that that is a solitary listening experience. I did ask them if you can connect 2 pairs of Sonos Ace to one Arc soundbar, but you can't do that. So the idea is that you just listen to this stuff on your own, but that is a minor niggle. These are just a fantastic pair of headphones. I absolutely love them. Now, this isn't the only video that I'm going to make about the Sonos Ace headphones, so if you don't want to miss any future comparisons or updated reviews, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the bell, and if you've still got some time, keep watching for a link to another video that I think you'll enjoy.